Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's just get right into it. In an age of just constant noise, how do you find real wisdom? I mean, really find it. Well, today we're going to explore this really powerful idea called slow cognition. And even better, we're going to build a map to help you navigate your own mind. I mean, this is the question of our time, isn't it? We are just flooded with articles, data, opinions every single second. But think about it. How much of that actually sticks? How much of it becomes something you truly know, something that's genuinely personal? So the answer might be surprisingly simple. Just slow down. It's an approach called slow cognition. And what it does is it prioritizes that deep, reflective thinking over just, consuming more stuff faster. It's really about building wisdom, not just collecting a pile of facts. Okay, so how do we actually do this? To help us out, a really powerful tool was developed by a guy named Oliver Ding. It's called the Knowledge Discovery Canvas. And you should really just think of it as a practical map for your own journey into deep thinking. So this is our map. The whole thing is built around these 8 mappings. And their job is to bridge that huge gap between all the public information out there and your own personal understanding. You can see these pairs, right? Concepts connecting to notions, frameworks to insights. Let's actually break down what that really means. All right, the core idea, the fundamental principle of this entire map is this division between 2 distinct territories, what's called an outer space and an inner space. Outer space, that's the world of public knowledge. It's all the shared ideas, the academic theories, the stuff everyone's talking about. But then you've got inner space, and that's your personal world of knowing. It's your private thoughts, your unique insights, your individual experiences. And here's the key. Slow cognition is really just the journey between these two. And this is where the real magic happens, in these connections, these mappings between the 2 spaces. This is the moment where you take a public concept and you actually turn it into a personal notion. Or where some big established framework out there sparks a whole series of private insights just for you. It's a genuine process of transformation. Okay, so let's see these mappings in action. How does this translation from public info to personal knowledge actually work? We're going to look at a couple of really great examples to make this concrete. So first up, we've got the mapping from a public concept to a personal notion. A concept, right? That's just a shared term we all kind of use. But a notion? That's your own deep contextualized understanding of what that term really means to you. And this quote, this just illustrates the idea perfectly. We all know the term comfort zone, right? We throw it around all the time. But when this researcher, Mike Brown, starts asking these really deep questions, like what is a comfort zone? How do you know if it's growing? He's pushing past that simple shared concept. He's working to build a much richer, much more personal notion. That is the work of slow cognition right there. And you know what? This exact same principle applies to the frameworks to insights mapping. A public framework isn't just something you memorize for a test. It's a tool that can spark a long, evolving journey of personal discovery. And we're going to see that right now. So check this out. The author started with this simple artistic sketch, just exploring the relationship between the self and others. But then, through slow, reflective thinking over a long period of time, that simple sketch started to evolve. First, it became a building block for blending new ideas. Then it became the actual structural backbone for a whole chapter in a book. And now, finally, it's the perfect example to explain this very process we're talking about. It just goes to show you how one little framework can spark this incredible long chain of personal insights. So, what's the whole point of this? Ultimately, this entire process is about converting abstract possibilities into concrete understanding. It's about turning what you could know into what you actually do know. And the author has a name for this. It's moving from potential knowledge to actual knowledge. Think of potential knowledge as all the future possibilities hidden inside the things you already know. And actual knowledge? Well, that's what happens when you do the hard, reflective work to turn that potential into a solid, real, present-day insight. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we make that leap from potential to actual? Well, a sociologist named Arthur Stinchcombe gives us a massive clue. He basically argued that the real work of forming concepts, the deep work, is all about finding and deepening the analogies between things.
And that leads us to this really powerful technique called deep analogy. Now, this isn't just about saying, oh, this is kind of like that. No, no. This is a real method for finding profound structural connections between ideas that seem totally different and using that connection to unlock entirely new ways of seeing things.
The process is pretty straightforward, but it's powerful. First, you identify a core structure in one area. Then, you actively hunt for a similar structure somewhere else, somewhere completely different. Once you find it, you map the connections between the two. And it's in that mapping that you can generate completely new themes, new insights. You're literally turning potential connections into actual, brand new knowledge. All right, let's bring this all home. Let's bring it back to you. What does all this mean for how you can approach learning and thinking in your own life? Okay, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this: the knowledge discovery canvas. It's not a rigid checklist you have to follow. It's more like a flexible guide, a map you can use for your own personal journey of intellectual discovery. It's a tool, plain and simple, to help you structure your own process of slow cognition. So now, the map is in your hands. Think of it as an invitation to be more deliberate, to actually slow down, and to consciously start transforming that endless stream of information into your own personal wisdom. The only real question left is, what theme are you going to explore first on your journey?